I handed my dad his money back in front of his other kids and told him he's no longer invited to my graduation. My dad always made it very clear that I was his least favorite child. When I was 8, my mom left, and he got stuck raising me alone. That's when he met Rebecca and her 2 kids, Tomas and Jimena. They all moved in with us, and suddenly I went from being his only child to being the unwanted burden. Tomas was perfect at everything soccer captain. Straight A's. Full scholarship to State University. Jimena was daddy's little princess who could do no wrong. Meanwhile, I was just the kid who reminded him of his failed first marriage. Every family dinner was Tomas bragging about his latest achievements while my dad smiled like he'd won the lottery. Jimena would show him her art projects, and he'd hang them on the fridge with heart-shaped magnets. When I brought home my honor roll certificate in 8th grade, he looked at it for 2 seconds and said, "Good job, champ," without even looking up from his phone. The worst part was how he introduced us to people. This is my son Tomas, he's at State on a football scholarship, and my daughter Jimena, she's so artistic. Then he'd pause and add, "Oh, and this is Jacobo, just Jacobo." Like I was some random kid who lived there by accident. Money was always tight, but somehow, Tomas always had new cleats. And Jimena always had her art supplies. When I needed new shoes for cross-country, Dad said the old ones still worked, even though they were held together with duct tape. Rebecca tried to defend me sometimes, but Dad would just say, I needed to learn the value of hard work. During senior year, things were finally going well for me. I got accepted into 3 universities and even earned a small academic scholarship. I was excited to tell him, thinking maybe, just maybe, he'd be proud. I found him in the garage working on Tomas's car and told him about the acceptance letters. He nodded and said, "That's great, son," then asked me to hand him a wrench. That night at dinner, Tomas announced he'd been named captain of his college's freshman team. My dad literally stood up and clapped. Then he pulled out his wallet and handed Tomas $200 to take his girlfriend out to celebrate. I looked at Jimena, and she just rolled her eyes. Even she thought it was too much. The breaking point came 3 weeks before graduation. I needed money to rent my cap and gown and to pay the deposit for the senior trip, $85 total. I was working part-time at a grocery store, but every penny was going toward college. I asked Dad if he could help, and he sighed like I'd asked him for a kidney. He pulled out his wallet slowly, like it physically hurt, and handed me a $20 bill saying, "That's all I can give you right now." $20 for my graduation. The same man who had handed Tomas $200 for just being a team captain. I took the bill and said thank you. But inside, I was done. I picked up extra shifts, sold some of my stuff online. Every time I had to choose between lunch or saving for graduation expenses, I remembered that $20 bill. Graduation day came. Dad, Rebecca, Tomas, and Jimena all showed up. They sat in the middle section while I was backstage, getting ready. During the ceremony, I watched families cheering and crying with pride for their kids. When they called my name, I heard Rebecca and Jimena clapping, but Dad was just sitting there, scrolling through his phone. After the ceremony, we met in the parking lot. Dad came over, said, "Congrats, champ," and tried to give me an awkward side hug. That's when I pulled a $20 bill from my pocket, the same one he'd given me. I handed it to him and said, "Here's your $20 back, Dad. I don't need it anymore." He looked confused and asked what I meant. So I explained that I'd paid for everything myself, the cap and gown, the trip, even the graduation announcements I never sent him because I knew he wouldn't care to keep them. Tomas and Jimena were standing right there, watching. Rebecca looked mortified. Dad started to say that he'd helped me plenty over the years, but I cut him off. I told him the only thing he'd taught me was that I couldn't count on him for anything important. Then I looked at Tomas and Jimena and said, "You're lucky. You have the dad I always wanted. I hope he shows up for you when it actually matters." Finally, I turned back to my dad and said, "You're not invited to my college graduation in 4 years.